Tonight on the CFL on TSN, it's an East-West showdown. In BC, the Lions are beginning to restore the roar. They have back-to-back wins, and they're looking to make it 3 in a row against a Ticats team that struggled last week against Montreal.
You got smoked.
It's the Lions and the Tiger Cats. Next. He's the leading receiver in the league, Arland Bruce III, just 57 yards away from his 6th 1,000-yard season. G. Roy Simon, he'll likely get there as well. That would be his 8th straight. Simon, Bruce, Ticats, Lions, everybody ready to roll on the CFL on TSN for a West Coast Saturday night showdown. Dave Randorf, Milt Stiegel, and Jock Climbey. Chris Schultz out of the weather. Matt Dunnigan on assignment, getting ready to call the Toronto-Winnipeg game for tomorrow night. But tonight we are out west. Hamilton has made the long trip after a disappointing loss last week at home against Montreal. They're going to try to get back on the winning streak. And BC, a team that has been much maligned, especially offensively, they got the offense rolling. The last 3 weeks in particular, led by Casey Printers, they're starting to score through the air, which is something they have not been doing, Milt. And Casey Printers coming off his first 300-yard passing game.
Well, I like what he's doing, but I think he should be doing something he did in the past. I think he needs to take a little page out of Adrian McPherson's playbook and use his legs. And I know it was eons ago, but back in 2004, his MVP year, he rushed for almost 500 yards and 9 touchdowns. It's an element that's in his game that he needs to bring back. Now when you see him scrambling, he's looking to throw the ball. That's all fine and dandy, but defenses know they have no reason to be threatened by his running game. A running quarterback demoralizes all defenses. They hate to play against a running quarterback, and he needs to put that back into his game.
Milt, the guy I'm watching is a right tackle. Chris Schultz would be proud of me that this is what I'm going to be focusing on, and it's Jason Jimenez playing in his first game of the year. And the reason why I think this is such an interesting guy to watch in this game is that he is playing against his former team. He was released in the offseason by Wally Buono, and I can tell you that has really stoked his fire. He can't wait to go back and prove those guys wrong. The other thing is this guy is coming off the 9-game injured list, and we talked in the show already about what that's like to come back from an injury. It's huge. You remember early in the season, Simeon Rotier was having to play that tackle position, and the problems that Kevin Glenn was having with protection. Well, now he's got Jimenez in there, and I just think this is going to make a huge difference for him. Kevin Glenn is obviously, well, he's like most quarterbacks. He needs time in order to complete the football, and I think having a guy of him and his stature in there, I think is really going to help.
And maybe time to get DeAndre Cobb going again. Remember last year when we all found out who Cobb was? It was against BC. He had huge games backed against the Lions, 267 yards along the ground, and he hasn't approached, well, he's been close to 100 yards once.
Well, he's going to have to get some coaching from that coaching staff to get back to the form that he showed last year. It's not just a question of the offensive line.
This is the first of 2 regular season meetings between Casey Printers and his old team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We're all set to go from Empire Field next. Olive Green of Vernon. That's right, Olive Green. You could win a 2010 Nissan Rogue if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game, thanks to Safeway's touchdown and win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you could win $1 million. Let's take you to Empire Field in Vancouver. Here again, Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Dave. We're ready for a catfight and a rematch of last year's Eastern semifinal as the 3-7 BC Lions entertain the 5-5 Hamilton Tiger Cats. And what a day it is. Sky cleared this afternoon, and it is a terrific night for football at Empire Field.
One quarterback coming off his best game of the season, one his worst. Casey Printers, it was his best outing against Toronto, 302 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He wants to build on that momentum. Kevin Glenn, on the other hand, coming off his worst outing against the Montreal Alouettes at 159. A bad day at the office. They chalk that one up to a bad day, and they move on, try and bounce back here.
Yeah, Marcel Belfay's team trying to rebound for that 27-6 loss against Montreal. The GM, Bob Obilovich, called their worst effort of the season. On the other sideline, it's starting to look up. Wally Buono's Lions vying for a 3rd straight victory, and 2 in a row here at Empire. They won their first in their temporary digs last week against the Toronto Argonauts. The Ticats won both regular season meetings last year, and then the Lions went into Ivor Wynne and won that Eastern semifinal. Away we go. First meeting of 2010. And here's Giannis Davis up across the 35-yard line as the BC Lions get their hands on the football first.
Casey Printers in his last 3 games since returning from injury has thrown 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Looks like he's becoming more comfortable as the protection strengthens in front of him. Giannis Davis will start in the backfield with them. Roy Simon, 5th all-time in the Canadian Football League, and coming off a 133-yard game, Joe McGrath in his 3rd start at right tackle.
They start double tight ends, and Paris Jackson's in motion. So is Emmanuel Arsenault, and it's the sweep to the near side. And Arsenault up to the 40 where he is gang tackled and drilled back after a short 3-yard gain, and already everybody's fired up, including Otis Floyd.
And an injury to Jason Shivers right out of the gate. There's the starting defensive line. Jeremy Gibbs comes into the lineup. Garrett McIntyre is going to miss a week. All 3 linebackers, former BC Lions. In fact, 7 of the starting 12 are former BC Lions, including Jerome Dennis. And Will Hayward had a coffee in BC before moving on.
So some early concern here as the weak side defensive halfback, Jason Shivers, was dinged on the opening offensive play.
Well, he kept fighting in that pile. It looked like, he looked like he tried to rip the football out and grabbed his elbow immediately.
So coming in on the defense will be Ryan Hines at the corner, and there's a completion to O'Neill Wilson as the BC Lions chalk up their first down of the night.
Well, a couple of things for the BC Lions. They've had to juggle their offensive line all season long. In fact, I believe it's 7 different looks up front in 10 games. Their protection is getting better, and because of that, so is their passing game.
There's the rookie Ryan Hines now on the corner. Let's see if Casey Printers wants to test him as he goes to the wide side. Paris Jackson with the catch, and Ryan Hines will take him out at the Lions bench.
Well, Ryan Hines, they move him out to the wide side corner, and they'll move Jerome Dennis, Will Hayward in at halfback on the opposite side. So don't be surprised if the BC Lions do try and go out and see and test Hines.
Second game for Hines, a second-round draft choice last year, but really first time he has been in the line of fire. Second down, over the middle, back to Paris Jackson. He gets drilled down on the play by Jamal Johnson, but Paris Jackson's forward progress close to a first down.
Now, it looks like it's right on the stick. Good hit there by the former Lion, Jamal Johnson. I mentioned out of the starting lineups that 7 of the starting 12 on defense for the Hamilton Tiger Cats used to work for him, Wally Buono. And that's one of them in Jamal Johnson, who comes into this game and this week with 60 tackles, which was second to Barron Simpson in the CFL.
You can see less than a yard away from a first down, so Wally Buono sends in the jumbo team. That will include Travis Lulay and newly acquired in the last couple of weeks, Jesse Newman, the Powell River, BC native. And there is Jesse Newman, the former Stampeder.
Hasn't quite worked into the starting lineup yet, but is getting a chance to play some snaps in the short yardage unit.
Local product who was a big BC Lion fan as a kid and now gets a chance to wear the black and orange. Third down gamble as they hunker down. Lulay in behind John Hameister-Reese. And that should be enough for the first down. Bud Steen in charge of proceedings tonight.
Well, something said.
Play.
Illegal procedure, illegal formation, BC. Number 66 failed to report and played at the end position. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat third down.
If you're the end man on the line of scrimmage, report because you have an ineligible number.
I think part of the confusion for Joe McGrath, he was already in at right tackle, and when he moved outside, he became eligible and did not notify the official. So it's a squandered opportunity, and now on third and just over 5 yards, the Lions are going to have to kick.
Yeah, and you can tell by Joe McGrath's reaction that that was something that he was never told.
So Paul McCallum in. Marcus Thigpen awaits at the Tiger Cat 10-yard line. And Thigpen wants it to bounce into the end zone, and he gets the good hop. And a no yards penalty. Likely a single unless the Ticats elect to take the no yards on a 67-yard punt by Paul McCallum.
It's no yards.
So do the Ticats take the penalty and sacrifice some field position, or make it 1-0? Dave Stala checking with the bench.
15-yard line, no points.
No yards. BC number 48. Penalty is declined. 1 point is scored. First down on the 35.
Yannick Carter, the culprit. The single for McCallum. Lions with an early lead. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona, doing it right. So the Tiger Cats take 20 more yards and give up the single point, and will scrimmage from their 35. First possession of the game for Kevin Glenn and company. Shut out last week in the second half of their loss against the Alouettes. And DeAndre Cobb, who ran so well last year against the Lions, 267 yards in 2 regular season starts, just 2 on his first carry of the night.
When I mentioned that game against Montreal, Kevin Glenn, 159 passing, a season low for him, completed just 41% of his passes. There's receiving core, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League in Arlan Bruce in that slot back position. And then the offensive line, second game back for Jason Jimenez, the former BC Lion.
2nd and 8, 3-man front for BC. And Glenn looks for Dave Stala with the catch, and he'll turn it back inside, gets punished by Solomon Elimimian, but has a first down on his 50th catch of the year.
Well, you've got to admire the courage of Dave Stala to head into that part of the field when he had first down yardage after the catch. Right when he catches the ball, he's right at the stick. Now, if he just steps out of bounds there, they move the chains. He's going right into that danger zone, and here comes Elimimian.
Corey Boyd cut back inside last week and found out that wasn't a good idea against the active Lion middle linebacker. At the 46, a first down. Glenn on a roll, and out in the flat, the ball is caught by Marquay McDaniel, brought down quickly by Stanley Franks.
Big game in the defensive line for Jonathan Brown. 3 games played as a BC Lion. This will be his 4th, had 3 sacks versus the Toronto Argonauts. There's the linebacking core. Corey Banks, the playmaker back there. 3 fumble recoveries, 1 interception, and Dante Marsh, couple of interceptions last 3 games on the corner.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right. 5 for McDaniel, 2nd and 5. And Arlan Bruce has his first catch of another Ticat first down at the Lion 40-yard line.
Arlan Bruce recognizes that Corey Banks is going on the blitz, and when he sees Corey Banks, you see where his attention is, to that linebacking court. Now he's got to get himself to the middle because he knows the next linebacker inside is Solomon Elimimian, and he's way too far to get there to knock it down. He just had to get inside position, and he fights to it.
18 for Bruce, closing in on another 1,000-yard season. Ticats lead the league in first possession touchdowns with 3. Looking sharp so far here. There's Maurice Mann with a catch in front of Dante Marsh, rolling out at the 34. Mann, who tweeted this week that he wants the football more.
Yeah, he tweeted basically that he wasn't being used, trying to sort of vent with his fans. And I talked to Marcel Belfay, the head coach, about it, asked him what he thought of it, and he said, you know, it's not a big deal, that he's been a model citizen in the locker room. He knew he had a little bit of a reputation from his days in Edmonton, not so as a Ticap.
7 for man, 2nd and 3. Time for Glenn, underneath it goes, and that's a completion. And a great move on the play as another first down for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the catch by Maurice Mann.
Boy, that is one way to get your wide receiver involved when you run him on the crossing routes like this. And Kevin Glenn's just going to wait for Maurice Mann to clear through the linebacking core. Now, how about this move in the open field? He puts on the brakes. Elimimian runs right by him. And that was an issue for Elimimian early in the season.
Kevin Glenn had 11 completions last week. He's 5 for 5 out of the gate. There's another one. Chris Bauman is cut down on the play by Dante Marsh, and a late flag comes out.
Jason Jimenez went out, looked like he was working on Brent Johnson.
Flag came late.
Well, you know Jason Jimenez is going to be fired up to play against his former team and
Major
his former
foul.
coach.
Unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 60. The penalty is applied from the end of the play. It's a 15-yard penalty and becomes 2nd down.
But I'll tell you something. There is no room in the game for this. Watch how he sneaks up from the side and rolls on Brent Johnson, going straight after that left knee.
12. Guy who had 16 major fouls in his rookie year, 2006, with the Lions.
Well, first, it hurts his team. Second, there's really no room in the game for a play like that.
Reggie Fish checks in for the Ticats on offense as they look for 2nd and 20. Underneath it goes DeAndre Cobb, and he's brought down at the 19-yard line. Again, Dante Marsh, the tackle, and because of the Jimenez penalty, the drive has stalled.
Boy, this play looked like it had enormous potential. Watch how it's going to clear out with DeAndre Cobb just sitting in behind the line of scrimmage. He looks like he's going to check blitz, and he is wide open. He turns and just heads upfield. It's hard to believe that he doesn't get the first down. He kind of heads to his right, cuts back laterally, and is cut down.
Now there's Sandro DeAngelis, under 70% on the season. From 26 yards out. And DeAngelis puts it through. So the Ticats with 3 on their first possession of the game and the lead. Plenty of former Lion angles with the Tiger Cats, with more. Farhan Lalji's on the sidelines.
Yeah, Chris, you saw one former Lion, Jason Jimenez. Another one who's in the lineup tonight is Jeremy Gibbs. Now, he was cut by the Lions earlier this season, and Wally Buono was very public in his criticism, saying that he was undisciplined. After that, this week, he called him very immature, and that's one of the reasons why he got rid of him. At the time, Gibbs thought he was being made a scapegoat for the Lions' problems. He didn't want to talk about the issue right now, but a couple of his teammates said that he is highly motivated to make a statement on the heels of Buono's statements.
Too many penalties, according to the coach. 3 fights in training camp. Jeremy Gibbs arrived in Vancouver in a nasty mood and then had to depart. Andrew Harris, the special team player of the week, gets to the 30-yard line, driven back, a flag on the turf. Boy, Andrew Harris had a good game against the Argos. 162 kick return yards in the game. But a holding call on this return.
Holding on the return. BC number 47. It's a 10-yard penalty, and it'll become 1st down.
And that's been a familiar refrain on returns for Wally Buono's crew this year.
Well, it has. It's up around that 70% mark of penalties on returns.
And they opted for a return instead of taking the ball on the 35, so It's a loss of 15 to start here as Casey Printer's in trouble. Ducked away from Hickman, stays upright, and flips it away. Wow. That's a spectacular loss of a yard. No, they'll check that. They'll get 5 on the play.
Yeah, he got it off to Jerome Messam, who's in tandem in the backfield tonight as he was last game against Toronto with Giannis Davis. But here's a little bit of that old 2004 Printers magic as he just escapes what was a sure stack by DeMonte Bolden and gets himself in second and manageable situation.
2nd and 6 from the pocket. Drills the pass complete. And a first down as Paris Jackson starts to heat up, as does the Lions offense. Jackson with 3 catches early.
Yeah, and he is really starting to heat up, as you mentioned, Chris. He's going to come on the inside move here, a little work underneath off of Geroy Simon. His last 5 games, 20 catches. In his first 5, just 11.
Still looking for his first touchdown of the year, his first since last Halloween. Printers rolling, gets away from pressure. Here comes Moore. Downfield, and he threw it away at the Ticat bench.
One thing the BC Lion receivers understand with Casey Printers at quarterback is that the play is really not over until it's over. And what I mean by that is they have to continue to move to get open. Printers did not have an open receiver down the field there. He had 2 on the same side that he rolled to. It's going to be Otis Floyd who's going to chase him down. Secondary containment. And he'll put the hit on him after he throws it out of bounds.
Jeremy Gibbs with the first surge. That's the first incompletion of the game. The quarterback starting hot. 12 of 13 combined. More heat. Printers gets away. Looks downfield. Well, it's Black, and he's got him. Stephen Black the catch at the Hamilton 37-yard line.
Well, I don't know how Casey Printers is pulling a rabbit out of his hat here, because this is fast break time. I mean, watch how quickly the Hamilton Tiger Cats are in the backfield. Forget about steamboats. These are split seconds. DeMonte Bolden doesn't do anything real fancy, and he is clean. Somehow Printers escapes that. And rolling to his left will drop it over the shoulder of Stephen Black,
who got in behind Will Hayward, 38 yards. Printers to the newcomer Black in his 3rd game in the Lion offense.
Timeout, BC.
And the Lions
had a personnel issue.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, but not the right complement.
Yeah, they had 12, just not the right 12.
Casey Printers, of course, a 2-year Tiger Cat, 1-12 as a Hamilton quarterback.
1-12 in Hamilton, 17-12 in 29 starts with the BC Lions, going back to his first visit here, his MVP season.
So they try and get back on the same page here. 1st and 10 at the Ticat 37. Emmanuel Arsenault wide to the near side. And Printers looking for Simon, knocked down by the youngster, Ryan Hines. Pass interference against Hamilton.
Now this is the inexperience of a young Ryan Hines at corner. Forced to play there, the injury to Jason Shivers, because
pass interference. Hamilton number 34. First down, BC.
This ball was well overthrown, and it looked like Jeff Tisdale had the best shot at it. Really no reason for Ryan Hines to go ahead and run over Geroy Simon. A little bit of inexperience and panic as the ball is about to arrive.
And a 26-yard penalty. So the Lions with a first down at the 11. Printers stands in, throws, touchdown, Geroy Simon. His 5th touchdown of the season, the 89th touchdown reception of his career.
This is when you have Casey Printers, your middle linebacker. Watch 35 on this play. Otis Floyd, he's just going to stand and spy Printers. He's not really going to rush. He's not really going to cover. He's just trying to see if Printers escapes. He'll chase him down. That gives him lots of time in the pocket. And he finds Geroy Simon.
Callum adds the extra point. And the Lions regain the lead. Well, it looked like a fire drill at times, but it turned out to be a 6-play, 95-yard drive. Great play by Casey Printers on the drive, and he finds his favorite receiver to cap it.
Well, when you played 12 years, you have a lot of tricks up your sleeve, and Geroy Simon, veteran move on that last touchdown route. Basically a post route that he bent off and made it a in route across the middle.
Here's Marcus Thigpen. And the explosive Tie-Cat return man up to the 39-yard line, where Kevin Glenn and company will go back to work.
The wily vet, Geroy Simon, he's going to work on the inside on Dylan Barker, the safety, and watch how he uses the upright to his advantage. Barker's got inside position, and as he cuts in right here, he has to bubble around that goalpost, and when he does that, that gives Geroy Simon that extra step across the middle.
That's out of the Darren Flutie playbook, isn't it? The old Tie-Cat receiver.
He used the goalpost as a pick.
Kevin Glenn handing it off. DeAndre Cobb straight ahead. Karan Williams has him corralled with plenty of help as they push him back. Kevin Glenn started only once against the Lions last year. It was in the Eastern semifinal. Quentin Porter was the quarterback for the 2 regular season wins for Hamilton. And Glenn, much talked about this week for the hook in last week's game in the third quarter. He did come back and finish, but after a slow start, he was relieved and wasn't too happy about it. Second down, and that pass complete. There is the diminutive but explosive Reggie Fish with his first CFL catch.
Free agent right out of college, Arkansas, and with Matt Carter out of the lineup injured, Marcel Belfait gets a chance to put in Reggie Fish, and he told me before the game that he's a guy that can really stretch the field. Quick feet, can make you miss in the open field. He's not a big guy at 5'7", 163. But he can go.
Kevin Glenn looking sharp. So does Casey Printers, and we might have a game like last night. From the Lion 53, hits to Maurice Mann, and Mann has another first down. Is still going. Well, if you want the football, then it's a good idea to do something with it. Maurice Mann has done that in the opening quarter here.
Well, he did have a meeting, and as I mentioned, Marcel Belfait said he wasn't concerned, that he's been a model citizen. When he sat down with Maurice Mann and talked to him about his Twitter comments, pretty good run in the open field. His man is going to take this and make some moves again. He just said, look, if you're frustrated, you come and talk to me. You don't have to tweet or Twitter or whatever that is.
Third catch for Mann, 19 yards on that reception, and Kevin Glenn 9 for 9 out of the gate. And Cobb, gang tackled again, short gain. Familiar refrain, he had 59 yards last week, but 49 came on the final play of the game.
Both quarterbacks do look hot. I mean, Kevin Glenn, I would say the difference for him offensively is that he's looking sharp with lots of time in the pocket. I don't think he's had any pressure. Printers, on the other hand, first couple of series was basically scrambling and running for his life, still making plays. But you have to wonder how much that will wear him down as the game goes on. Right now, protection pretty good for Hamilton.
Looking at 2nd and 9. And the drop play, Cobb will be tossed down by Anton McKenzie. And the drive stalls again in Lion territory.
DeAndre Cobb is on pace for under 1,000 yards rushing on the heels of a 1,200-yard year in his rookie season. Belfait told me before the game that he wants to commit to Cobb a little bit more. He's got to get him the football a little bit more. He wants to continue to evaluate whether or not he's dropped off in his performance level, but he has to give him the ball a lot more to be able to make that evaluation.
They have brought a new running back onto the roster, Conte Catino. See if that pushes Cobb as DeAngelis looks at a 39-yard attempt to Frollis the holder. And Sandro snuck it just inside the upright. His second of the game. And that cuts the Lion lead to 2. Well, the CFL on TSN continues tomorrow with a doubleheader of games at 1 Eastern. It's a big one, the Blue Bombers and the Argonauts in Toronto. And following that at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific, the Edmonton Eskimos and the Alouettes. As the Eskimos make their Eastern swing, which will take them to Moncton next week. DeMonte Bolton checking in late on defense for the Ticats as BC goes back to work from their 35. Little swing pass, and Giannis Davis up to the 42 has 7. Otis Floyd and Dylan Barker there with the stop.
10 games for the Lions, I mentioned out of the gate, 7 different offensive lineman units. And Joe McGrath gets his 3rd start at right tackle. They moved Dane Randolph, who's been at right tackle and left tackle, back to the left side. We mentioned Jesse Newman has not worked his way onto the starting roster yet. And don't forget, Dean Valley was injured at center. Angus Reid is back there.
2nd and 3. Like Britter's changed the play at the line. He's got Paris Jackson trying to spin off Jeff Tisdale. Will Hayward in support, close to a first down, and he should have it across the 45.
Javon Olafioye is the only offensive lineman that has played every game. Jesse Newman works in that guard position. Remember Jesse Newman from 2007 went in with Dimitris Sumpas in Calgary. Helped to lead that team to the Grey Cup championship that year.
4 receivers wide side. Giannis Davis straight ahead on what should be the last play of the opening quarter. Both quarterbacks look sharp. Lions lead by 2. First quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
Oh, what a start. The Gunslingers are getting it done. 100-yard passing for both teams. Kevin Glenn and Casey Printers. Just 1 incompletion in the first quarter.
But you noted a difference between what Casey Printers had to go through in that first quarter and what Kevin Glenn.
Protection still an issue for the BC Lions. Casey Printers has been on the run. He's been hit a bunch in that first quarter. Kevin Glenn, on the other hand, lots of time in the pocket. They're using the quick passing game, which helps. But that has a way of wearing a quarterback out late in games, 3rd, 4th quarter. So we'll see if Casey Printers can keep up this pace.
Maybe the guys were watching Darian Durant and Henry Burris light things up last night. Good start to this football game, and now the Lions get set for a 2nd down. And Printers in the air again, the long out. O'Neal Wilson has another 2nd down conversion in front of Jerome Dennis, the former Lion.
You know, O'Neal Wilson doesn't make a lot of catches. He only has 16 coming in, but they're often important ones. They always think back to Andre Talbot in his Toronto Argonaut days, and that Canadian receiver on the wide side who sits down a lot of times in these zone defenses, and often these plays are for first downs.
Maybe his biggest play of the year wasn't a catch, it was that fumble recovery last week.
Yes.
Of the ball dropped by Ronald Clemens in the end zone. Flag down as Giannis Davis carries down to the Hamilton 41-yard line, close to 9, but let's check the flag.
Versus Toronto, Giannis Davis got his first start at tailback with Jamal Robertson out due to a rib injury.
And they're surveying how close they are. We still haven't got a notification of the penalty.
Offside. Hamilton, number 23. Penalty is declined. 2nd down.
Will Hayward, one of the defensive backs, lined up offside, and Lions decide to decline the penalty because it's 2nd and 1, and Printers to the bench, and Travis Lulay and the short yardage team comes on for BC. That includes Rolly Lumbala lining up at tight end, and big Jerome Messam, the running back. And again, they'll try the sweep to Arsenault. He's got the first down.
Mentioned Geroy Simon ranks 5th all-time in the Canadian Football League. Just moved into that spot this year. And when you look at these two receivers, Arland Bruce, 1st in the CFL, should be the first to 1,000 yards. 4th for Geroy Simon. That was after the big night by Andy Fantus. It's going to be fun to watch those two players go at it tonight.
Of course, Arland Bruce still has the best single game performance in the league this year. Look at Davis bouncing outside, and another first down run for Giannis Davis at 5'7". I'd love to give him the nickname Mouse, but I think it's been taken.
Yeah,
Mouse Davis.
That's been taken, but you know, a different type of running back, because when you look at the Lions over the last couple of years, you know, you go back to Joe Smith, you go to Martel Mallett, and then even Jamal Robertson. Those are backs that are giving you 6-7 yards a crack. Giannis Davis is a different guy. He's a guy that's got risk and reward. He can break one big time, can also lose some yards every now and then.
They marked him out short of the first down, so it's 8, and Davis again, he's got the first down now. Bubbles outside, then tripped up at the 20, but down at the 17. He's a little upset with himself, but he's electrified the crowd here at Empire.
Well, he talked about how Casey Printers was under duress and pressure in the first quarter. And this is the way to counteract that pressure. Go with these draw plays. If those defensive linemen, including Jeremy Gibbs there, want to get up the field and after the quarterback, just hand it off underneath. And that's what I'm talking about with Giannis Davis. You know, Joe Smith, Martell Mallett, Jamal Robertson, they go and take contact. He bubbled, tripped up there to try and make an even bigger play.
Ninth play of the drive, the big boy Jerome Messam's in. Fake, pressure, Printers to the end zone, and Stephen Black can't catch up to that.
Yeah, you know, Casey Printers, it looked to me, was trying to throw that away. He was going to put it right in the corner of the end zone. And if Stephen Black can get there, he's saying, okay, but if you can't, no problem, because he was pretty well covered, and he was the only receiver after the fake on that side of the field. So this is a guy who's protected the ball well since returning in Casey Printers. He's got just 1 interception in his last 3 games.
Last week he started slow, 2 for 7, 28 yards in the opening quarter against the Argos. Much faster start tonight, 2nd and 10. More pressure off the edge, and he'll do some dancing. Throwing it into the end zone and almost intercepted.
Incomplete!
As the intended target, Paris Jackson, was down in the end zone. Not sure if he tripped up or was knocked down, but it goes for an incompletion and 3rd down.
First of all, Jerome Messam is going to make a big block to give Casey Printers an extra second or two to escape from the pocket. And I'm not sure if Paris Jackson in the back of that end zone was knocked down or tripped down. The Printers expected him to come back, and he went and fell.
So Paul McCallum at 92% from 24 yards out, and that's a chip shot for him. And it's a 5-point BC lead. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. So a 5-point Lion lead. Hamilton's offense has struggled a bit of late. 40 points in their last 3 starts after a 39-yard explosion against the Bombers in Winnipeg. But it looks much crisper tonight so far. There's Reggie Fish, and look out. He gets run over by Corey Banks.
A lot of hit screens, and I'm just waiting for when the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and I think Ticat fans are too, to see the combination of Kevin Glenn and Arland Bruce get back together. One of the top combinations in the Canadian Football League. Leading receiver in the CFL.
Hasn't had a 100-yard game in his last 4 starts. 39 away from 1,000 this season. Looking at 2nd and 10. And a pass draws a flag as they look for Markway McDaniel, and Ryan Phillips going to be called for pass interference.
Well, the flag came out late as Phillips was coming across with McDaniel.
Pass interference. BC, number 21. Automatic, first down.
Part of the issue for Ryan Phillips was he got out of the huddle so late. As he was breaking the huddle, he was trying to find his man. He's right there now as he gets out and does finally get in position. Markway McDaniel is running that dig route, that in route, and he's got his right hand around his waist.
Phillips played in his 100th CFL game last week. Again, up the middle. This time, Cobb, good run. And into Lion territory at the 48-yard line, and that's 14 for number 14. So that's the first down kind of production they'd like to see more often from the run game. The only team in the CFL with under 1,000 yards rushing this season. Back to Cobb, and 4 positive yards. He bounces off first contact, and another good run down to the 31-yard line, and that's 18 more.
Well, this is what Marcel Belfait told me before the game, that they need to commit more to the run, that they got in a bit of a hole out of the gate when they won just 1 of their first 5 games. They're sitting at 1-5, and he said, look, one thing we knew we could do with Arlan Bruce and Kevin Glenn is throw the ball. And what we forgot to do is keep the balance in the offense, or what we couldn't do at that time because of the record was keep the balance in the offense, so they kind of went away from it.
Both offenses mirroring each other. They started out aerial, and now both teams having some success on the ground. 1st and 10, lots of time, looking for Arlan Bruce, and had to check the goalpost there. And the ball overthrown.
Boy, that same upright that Geroy Simon used as a pick for a touchdown is all of a sudden becoming a major player in this game, because I thought it looked like Arlan Bruce might even run right into it. I mean, he picks it up at the very end of this route and just misses it. And chasing from behind, Tad Crawford did run into it.
First incompletion for Glenn, 10 for 11 on the night. Last week, his first pass of the game was intercepted by Marcus Dell. 2nd and 10. Glenn double pumps downfield, and that one will draw another flag as they try to hook up with Dave Stala.
Well, I didn't see any pass interference live. So,
pass interference. BC, number 24. Automatic, first down.
23-yard penalty on Corey Banks.
Well, and he's upset, and when I watched the play live, I was hard-pressed to see any type of pass interference. You're allowed to jam there. Now he turns and runs, and left hand is down, unless he's pulling the arm of Dave Stala, which it didn't look like he was.
It's interesting, they do mark it back at the 9, so the flag was thrown a little earlier. Cobb inside, not much that time. Lemimian with the stop without the helmet at the end of the play.
We've seen a couple of pass interference in this game that were very close, and in this drive, and Solomon Elimimian.
Boy, he's been hot of late. 19 tackles in his last 3 games. The Nigerian-born making his 4th consecutive start at middle linebacker. He's been fun to watch. 8th play of the drive. 2nd and goal, Ticats. Short drop into the back of the end zone. Arlan Bruce, touchdown! What a catch over Stanley Franks. Well, Geroy got one, and now Bruce has answered.
Yeah, we thought it might be fun to watch both of these top receivers in the league perform. And they're not disappointing anyone early on in this game. And that one Arland Bruce uses the entire end zone. He's going to use the full 20 yards, and what a throw for Kevin Glenn to drop it over the shoulder.
Wow.
Stanley Franks.
Hot hand for Kevin Glenn. And there's going to be a challenge on whether or not Bruce did get that foot down. Wally Buono wants one more look before the convert. And you could tell by Mark Washington's reaction, the spotters aren't sure that he caught it cleanly. Is there a little bobble here? The foot's in, but was there a bobble? Doesn't look like it.
No. No, and he maintains.
BC is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass. We will review the play.
Caught and made there. Now the foot's in. Now, but if he maintains possession, well, he's.
So Jake Ireland will have another look. It looked like he had that ball well secured, but we'll see if there's another angle that the Lions spotters saw that we haven't noticed.
And we've shown you this is the last different angle. He's got the football. He's got it under his arm. He turns with it. He hits. He braces himself. That's a touchdown.
And it's a great catch and a terrific throw.
Upon review, the ruling on the field stands. It's a touchdown.
So we will get the convert attempt for Sandro DeAngelis in a game that's gone back and forth in this opening half. Arlen Bruce with his 6th touchdown catch of the year, his first in 4 games. There's the extra point. And the Ticats claim the lead. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Midway through the second quarter, we've had 3 lead changes already, and Arlen Bruce puts the Ticats back on top of the game.
What's up, everybody? CFL.
Ball will get lined out of bounds. That's an illegal kickoff on Eric Wilbur, and the Lions will start at their 45.
Illegal kickoff out of bounds. Hamilton, number 11. BC first down on the 45.
So good field position when we come back to Empire. Well, they're honoring the 94 Grey Cup champion BC Lions. Remember, Ken Austin went out of the game. Danny McManus was joking before the game that he was actually just trying to kill the clock with that bootleg run for a touchdown. And of course, Louis, final play of the game. Wow, what a game it was. Dave Ritchie and company with the win over the Baltimore Stallions. And they'll be honored at halftime here at the 45. Casey Printers guns it downfield, and G-Roy Simon can't hang on. Let's go down to the sidelines. Far hands with Dave Ritchie.
Yeah, the coach of that 94 team, and you guys were honored here, inducted into the BC Sports Hall of Fame. And what do you remember most about that team?
They were what they'd call, as Sean's been telling me all night, ballers. Those guys came to play, and they got together right at the end of the year, and they weren't going to get beat. And however, by the grace of the good Lord, we won 3 games in the last play.
Now, you're 72 years old. You've been retired for 3 years, and you still want to get back in and coach again.
Well, I'd love to, but nobody's going to hire me.
Yet.
Yet. Well, I'd love to do it because I left, retired 3 years ago to be closer to my grandchildren. I've been around my grandchildren 3 years now and been helping them a great deal, my wife especially. So I think it's time that, hey, I don't like retirement.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
And to get ready for it, he's coaching his 11-year-old grandson's team.
Looks pretty good for 72, doesn't he? Here's big Jerome Messam pounding it down to the 47 of the Tiger Cats. 7 for big Jerome.
Okay, I'm going to start it.
Yep.
Eric Tillman is hired with the Edmonton Eskimos. He has a relationship with Dave Ritchie.
They do have a coach.
And I'm not talking about replacing a head coach, but certainly with the experience Dave Ritchie has, he could help a lot of staffs across the league, even if it's as an assistant. Then great to see Dave Ritchie back in the game.
2nd and 3. Big Messam again. Jamal Johnson will bring him down, but that's a first down. And again, after both teams seeing a pretty good ground attack being established on both sides of the football.
You know, it's taken a bit for Jerome Messam's career to start to get sort of kick-started. You know, he missed the evaluation camp coming out of college in 2008 and then was injured in New York Giants training camp that year. Knee injury, so it took him a while to gain some traction.
Pretty shifty for 6'3", 245. Casey going deep. Got blocked. Touchdown. Stephen Black has his 3rd in as many games. It's a 40-yard touchdown strike.
3 games, 3 touchdowns. And that ball was up and over the top from Casey Printers. As he was falling backwards, Printers shows you his arm strength. He's leaning on his back leg here, and he falls away from it, drops it up and over the shoulder. 3 for 3.
And they go back and forth. The 4th lead change. Well, Stephen Black's been a big bonus for this Lions offense, but boy, it all starts with the quarterback when he's sharp like Casey Printers has been tonight. Flag down on the point after. As Paul McCallum gets hit.
Major foul. Roughing the kicker. Hamilton, number 72. The 15-yard penalty will be applied on the kickoff.
And that'll hurt field position off the kickoff, and that's Jeremy Gibbs that Farhan talked about. And one of the reasons he's no longer a BC Lion was discipline issues, according to Wally Buono.
And there are the 2 former Lions who have both taken major fouls in this first half.
And you can get a roughing the kicker penalty on an extra point. Let's take a look. Paul McCallum gets hit right through the middle. How about Stephen Black? 3 games, a touchdown in each. He's on pace now. He's going to get 8 more.
Well, that's a 40-yarder. That's his biggest so far in the CFL.
Well, last week he had 40 yards total on 5 catches in that win versus the Toronto Argonauts.
Callum from the 50 will boot this down into the corner. Reggie Fish walks the tightrope and then steps out at the 16-yard line, so that penalty against Gibbs will back the Cats up to start this next drive.
And that's a lack of focus on Reggie Fish there too, because that ball goes out of bounds, then the Ticats get way better field position than they're in right now. The kickoff out of bounds, you get the ball on the 45-yard line. That's a young player, rookie coming in to just a chance to play with his Ticats as a starter, but gets on the teams as well. And he should have let that one go out of bounds.
Kevin Glenn, number 2 in the league in yards behind Darian Durant. 11 for 12 to start the game tonight. Pressure from Anton McKenzie, and that ball thrown away. As McKenzie, the Will linebacker, came off the edge.
Starting to take a look at this defense is starting to take shape. Anton McKenzie is lined up instead of that linebacker spot about 4 or 5 yards off the line. He's right up there as like a defensive end. Now Dave Stala took a quick look at him and then let him go.
2nd and 10. Kevin Glenn has a completion. Dave Stala has a first down all the way up to the 40. The Ticats were 0 for 13 on 2nd and long last week against Montreal. A big conversion here for 24 yards.
You know, Arland Bruce leads this team and the league in receiving yards, and Bruce leads in most categories, but Dave Stala leads in one, and that's catches to move the chains. 2nd down conversion catches, and Dave Stala has been money in that department.
That's his 19th of the year. Came into the game 4th in the league in that department. Gets him out of a hole. And DeAndre Cobb up to the 45, has 5.
I like this stat because it's really the money stat for receivers. Andy Fantus took the lead. That's updated. There's 23 for him. Mel Richardson from Montreal at 21. There's Dave Stala and Bruce and Simon right on the heels of the leaders.
Dave Stala's best year in the league was 2005. He had 1,037 yards. He came into this game on pace for exactly that, 1,037. 2nd and 5. A fake to Cobb. McDaniel, another first down. And the Ticats have moved the chains here in the opening half as we tick down to about 3 minutes left in a good first half.
Then that Stala catch got them out of bad field position.
And they are giving the 3-minute warning to the benches. First half at Empire. Exactly 3 minutes left. First half here at Empire, and then it's GM Sierra live at the half. It's an all-receiver night with Dave Randorf.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that in any way, shape, or form.
Milt's former teammates look pretty good tonight, though, don't
they? Yeah, they do. T. Simon and Arland Bruce.
Jock and I aren't really on our game tonight after a Queens loss against Guelph earlier today. Kevin Glenn, and that one sailed high and almost got picked off.
And Tad Crawford came in and helped out from the safety spot. Timed up his hit pretty well. Ball arrives, and so does the hit.
So it's 2nd and 10.
They are being patient with Tad Crawford, and he is improving.
5 receivers set. Cobb releases. They go the other way. Look out, look out. Davis Sanchez usually gets that one.
And he stumbled just as he was about to arrive.
Had a touchdown against the Eskimos earlier this year, and he was sizing up interception number 29 on his career, but it falls incomplete.
Oh, he is so good at baiting quarterbacks, even veteran quarterbacks, by his alignment. He's off about 10, 12 yards, and you can see him just stumbling and losing his balance as he just backs up a couple of steps, shoots through there.
Wow. First punt for Wilbur. Here is Giannis Davis. Heading east-west. Going to get to the corner. And yet a corner will pound him out of bounds, and that will draw a flag, and Davis looked like he was a little shaken up. That's on the other side of the field. It looked like Davis was out and took an extra shot that was probably unnecessary.
No question.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 48, 15-yard penalty, first out.
So that's the 3rd major foul against the Ticats in this first half.
That's Yannick Carter. You be the judge. Giannis Davis on the sideline. He gets pushed first. This is not Yannick Carter in the first collision. That was Jamal Johnson, and now he's out of bounds. And out of bounds by 2 steps and gets pushed by Yannick Carter. No question that will be called.
So it moves the ball up beyond the 25-yard line. Messam, Jeremy Gibbs. All over him, and a terrific play by the former Lion to bring Messam down for a short gain. Oh, check that out. Orville Lee, the ball carrier.
Orville Lee lines up. He starts in the Jamal Lee. Orville Lee is his dad. Jamal Lee starts in the backfield, and this time it's going to be Jeremy Gibbs who guesses well. He doesn't take that receiver coming across the formation. He sits right on the tailback, Jamal Lee. We'll get it.
Jamal's 8th carry of the year. And the out is complete for a first down as Paris Jackson's got another grab.
Talked about Paris Jackson, his last 5 games, 20 catches, 270 yards. He got off to a real slow start, Paris Jackson. In his first 5, he just had 11 catches, 142 yards, and you mentioned still looking to find that first touchdown.
5th catch of the half for Jackson. 2 straight 1,000-yard years. He's well off 1,000-yard pace this season. Trouble on that snap, and he gets it away, and incomplete the call as Messam unable to bring it in. That desperation pass from Printers, who had trouble with the shotgun snap.
Saw this last night, Saskatchewan Roughriders. In their win, Darian Durant had a couple of issues with shotgun snaps, and that snap is right about where you want it as a quarterback.
You saw him point to himself. That was on Casey Printers in his 7th game. Coming off his best start, looking like this could be an even better game for number 1. And he's got Black, and Black drops. There's a drop. It looked like he was anticipating contact over the middle and took his eye off the football.
Well, our receivers sitting back there in the panel know one thing, that whether you catch the ball or you don't catch the ball and you're in that area, you're pretty much going to get hit. Now, Stephen Black doesn't get hit here. You're right. He's probably bracing himself for contact, and he takes a peek to see where the contact's coming from. You're going to get hit either way. You might as well catch it.
Good replay of that hit, swiveling. Pressure by the Cats, but a good boot by Paul McCallum. And away goes Thigpen. Shifting gears and brought down by Anton McKenzie beyond the 35-yard line. 48-yard boot by the veteran Paul McCallum. So 1:37 on the clock for Kevin Glenn here in the first half.
Well, what a difference for this offense. Kevin Glenn looked like he came out of the gate first quarter. He had 100 yards passing. He now has 141. First 3 possessions last week against Montreal were an interception, a punt, and a missed field goal. So a little different story here tonight.
Popping in, kicks it outside, and Elimimian brings him down short of the 40-yard line.
Well, in his college game in Hawaii, I just read this fact recently. It was a late flag thrown. He averaged in his last 2 years in college 10 tackles per game.
That's busy.
Yeah.
Objectionable conduct, taunting. Hamilton, number 60. It's a 10-yard penalty at the end of the play. It's 2nd down.
That's Jason Jimenez, and that's 4 calls in that nature against the Cats in the game, and 3 have been charged against former Lions.
Well, no need to try and figure out what Marcel Belfait will talk to his team about, in particular a couple of players, one being number 60, Jason Jimenez.
So 2nd and 19, and the draw to Cobb, who's tripped up at the 35, and that's Elimimian again.
Comments going back and forth between Jason Jimenez and his former head coach, Wally Buono, who suggested that Jason Jimenez had philosophical differences with his offensive line coach, Dan D'Orazio, and Jimenez, of course, disagreed with all of that. But a couple of bad penalties, and Marcel Belfait will, I'm sure, address that at halftime.
I think he just did. but he may even further.
Yeah. You can't make it personal.
Eric Wilbur with the boot. Line drive, and it is going to hit the carpet. A one-hopper, and that ball's still loose. Looks like Giannis Davis has covered it. Dylan Barker downfield in a hurry.
Well, the first one was a late hit on Brent Johnson. I want to go back because this is Marcel Belfait. Let's show you one more time how he looks at Jason Jimenez, his right tackle, and what's that all about? I mean, again, it's about making your personal agenda, putting that ahead of the team's goal. Taunting penalties and a late hit are both totally unnecessary.
And that discussion continues. At the 35-yard line, it's Casey Printers dumping it off, and it's incomplete. Short of Stephen Black. Final minute, first half. But we've seen some growth from Casey Printers tonight.
Also, magic act in the beginning. In the first quarter, first few series, he escaped the pass rush very well. And the protection has made some adjustments, has been better in this second quarter.
Second and 10. And he guns that for Simon, short of the target, and it'll fall incomplete. And the Hamilton Ticats will get the ball back one more time in this first half.
Yeah, and this is where your punter, and you know, we don't often talk about the importance of, you know, when you talk about punting and its importance, it's usually when you're trying to angle it inside the 10-yard line as a punter. But this is a big one for Paul McCallum. He needs to get all of this and then the Lions to limit the return, or the Ticats have a chance. One quick first down, couple passes, they're in field goal range.
First 2 and out by the Lions offense tonight. They're last in the league. That's their 70th 2 and out of the season. Pressure, and McCallum went down, but no flag. Got bumped by Markeith Knowlton. There's a flag here for no yards, as Thigpen's taken down at the 53, and the Ticat bench wanted more there. And McCallum looking for a flag, or was he?
Yeah, he was looking for the late hit.
Was that just a pretty good sales job by McCallum? Hard to say. Markeith Knowlton was certainly in the neighborhood.
He's been close a couple of times, and McCallum still arguing his case there. And the other side of that, at the other end, Tad Crawford, I think the Hamilton bench thought that he face masked the returner. So a couple of things to sort out.
Looks like the Cats will have great field position, though, and some time on the clock here to get at least into Sandro DeAngelis range.
Let's take a look.
There are 2 infractions on the play. No yards, BC number 20. Major foul, horse collar tackle, the end of the play, BC. As a result of the fouls, it's 20 yards and first down.
Well, they're already in field goal range.
Yeah, I was going to say, forget about field goal range. Now you're talking about the opportunity at the end of the half to really grab momentum and possibly go for the major. Here's Tad Crawford at the end of the play on Thigpen. Thought it might have been a face mask, but clearly he's got the harness from behind. You don't have to be pulled backwards anymore.
20 yards of penalties, and that sets up the Cats at the Lion 40. Glenn Stalla, and down to the 30, close to a first down.
Plenty of time here for Kevin Glenn. He really doesn't even have to push it. He can just run his offense, and that includes DeAndre Cobb. He can run screen draw, lots of different opportunities here. 31 seconds, probably 4-5 plays. One more first down for Kevin Glenn, and he's looking at an intermediate pass route to go right to the end zone.
It is 2nd and 1. Clock runs. Cobb's got the first, down to the 25. 18 seconds on the clock, and the timeout called by Marcel Belfait.
Hamilton.
Yeah, there was, I think a little bit of frustration in Kevin Glenn there that at 31 seconds, had they got to the line of scrimmage a little bit quicker, might have been able to save some precious time here.
Still should have time to execute 2 plays and
no question,
and a field goal if all goes right.
Well, field goal pretty much automatic, and as far as the attempt,
but 2 shots at the end zone first.
Exactly, one for sure, and you're almost in that range, Chris, where you can now take a shot. You can throw it to the end zone just over an intermediate route.
Reggie Fish wide to the near side. 3 receivers here with Bruce and Stala also near side. And Stala gets it and steps out after a short gain to the 20.
That's what I'm talking about in clock management, the 31 seconds. Now, they did run a running play, so that takes a little bit longer. But before that last play, there was 18. Only used 5 seconds for the quick out. At least one more shot. Arland Bruce loves the corner route down in this part of the field.
Second and 5, but they want a lot more than that. Pressure, end zone, picked off, intercepted by the safety, Tad Crawford. And he'll take the knee with 4 seconds remaining.
You know, Tad Crawford, I mentioned, is improving game in and game out. We've seen a couple of plays from him, and you know, good for Wally Buono and the BC Lions to be patient with him. There's Arland Bruce there. He's going to just head down the field, and Tad Crawford now leaning on Baron Miles, some of that experience he's learned throughout half of this season, and he's going right over there to the primary target. He knows one thing, that Kevin Glenn in these situations looks for number 1. And that ball by Kevin Glenn a little bit underthrown, which helps Tad Crawford's cause. He got a little pressure off the edge from Karan Williams.
10th interception thrown by Kevin Glenn on the year. 7th straight game he's thrown a pick, and the Cats come up empty on that final possession when it looked like 3 was automatic. 18-13, good first half at Empire.
Live at the Half is brought to you by the next generation GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. Never send a truck to do a Sierra's job.
And welcome back inside the CFL on TSN Studios. Dave Randolph along with Jock Climby and Milt Stiegel tonight. We had a good game last night. This is a good game tonight. I'm enjoying this one. 4 lead changes at Empire Field, and the BC Lions with a 5-point lead at the break. The BC Lion offense is really starting to crank it up over the past few weeks. You know, Casey Printers has 9 touchdown passes on the season. 7 of those have come in the last 3.5 games. So obviously the passing attack through the air is improving. He got another one to Stephen Black. Who's this guy? 3 games, 3 touchdowns. Nice. And he's the cousin of Terrell Owens, making an impact, Milt.
Yeah, he's one of their young guns that are making an impact. And I think I need my sunglasses on because the future is bright in BC land. And you talk about a team, you want a nucleus of older guys and younger guys. And these younger guys just aren't young. They're first-year players. I'm talking about Stephen Black, Jonas Davis, Stanley Franks, Jerome Messam, and Solomon Aluminium, however you pronounce his name. Mimi. And these guys are producing. Stephen Black, 3 touchdowns in 3 games. Jonas Davis has pretty much replaced Jamal Robinson. Stanley Franks, who besides quarterback, plays the toughest position in football at halfback. Jerome Messam has been a beast. And Solomon Aluminium is the head hunter. These guys are producing. I would put these guys up against any rookies in the league, and I would say they are the best. Wally Buono and his right-hand man, Roy Shivers, has done a great job as establishing these guys.
It's so unusual to see a team with rookies, raw rookies, doing as well as these guys are. That's great. On the other side of the football, the Hampton Tiger Cats, they needed a bounce-back game, and so far they're getting it from a couple of sources that they need to play well. And DeAndre Cobb has not played well all season, and I've mentioned it on a number of occasions, but I saw something here, maybe one of his best runs of the season. This is why. Watch his shoulders either stay square. I have seen him running sideways, east-west, more often than not. He stayed north-south, and this is why he ripped off a 16-yarder, one of his longest runs of the year. Kevin Glenn, he's having a bounce-back game. He's 80% so far in this game. That's double his production last week, where he was 40%. He's getting zone coverage first of all, and when he does get man coverage like he did on this play, he's able to connect. He's got a little more accuracy than he had that week. That was a beautiful throw right into the back of the end zone,
yeah,
David.
with the wall right there. I asked you guys if it's harder to make that throw with a wall right there. You said he's not even looking at the wall there.
He's not looking at the wall, Arlen.
But you know what? When we were talking about that, these two receivers sitting next to me, you will be shocked, fans, at what they have to say about. Can we see that catch by Arlen Bruce again? This gave the Ticats the lead at the time to make it 13-11. He makes a great catch right at the back of the end zone. Now, of course, this pass is thrown from about, I don't know what, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards out. And these guys are saying, you know what? Those yards, that's right at the back of the end zone, that should be 19 yards on his receiving total.
Should be.
Is that what you're saying?
What we're saying is that it used to drive us nuts, right, Milt?
Right.
You beat a guy 20 yards into the back of the end zone, and you only got credit for whatever was happening in front of the end zone.
Yeah, well, what about the missed field goals? And those returners, they get every single inch that they return that ball
that's a good point. So you're saying that you get a touchdown that gives your team the lead at that point, and all you're caring about really is the 19 yards you don't get on
After the game, looking at the stats.
Right,
Oh, that's right. That was in the back of the end zone.
I ran 30 yards, and I got credited for 10-yard touchdown.
You know, by the way, in case you're wondering about the pass interference call that led to that touchdown, you say, no question about it, pass interference.
Yeah, I know Glenn hates having us with the last word here, right? But
Glenn
Suter,
the last word.
I know he was not all that happy about the fact that the pass interference was called. And I'm going to show folks why. Why was Banks flagged for this, which led to that Bruce touchdown? And you know what? It's pretty tough to make a catch when a guy is holding on to your arm. And that's exactly what Banks was doing. That's why Stala had to go up with one arm instead of two. It's a crafty move. There's lots of defensive backs who will do that, right? Just a hand right there in the arm so you can't get two up there. That's why it's PI.
Suits listening in the booth. A couple receivers in here, man. You're not going to win. He'll get the last word, though, guarantee. Undisciplined play by Hamilton, big time, the first half, including Jason Jimenez playing his first game.
Yeah, it's truly disappointing. He's playing against his old team, and he's an aggressive guy, and we understand that, but those penalties have to be cut out. There's no way that he should be on the field committing these penalties. If you ask me, it's a personal vendetta, what he's doing out there. What you see, what he did to Bress Johnson was truly uncalled for.
Right there. That's an intent to injure as far as I'm concerned, Milt. When you go for a guy's knee who's not looking at you, you're going to hurt him.
Yes.
If his foot is planted, you're going to hurt him. The league will be definitely looking at that. I was really disappointed with that.
He'll be fine.
18-13, BC with a 5-point lead over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They are honoring tonight in Vancouver the 94 Grey Cup champions, including Danny McManus and all the boys, Jamie Terrace, Louis Pasaglia. Come on back. Well, welcome back. Don't forget a Sunday doubleheader to wrap up the week, the CFL on TSN. First of all, Winnipeg is at Toronto, the Rogers Centre, and then Edmonton is at Montreal, a double dip tomorrow. Please join us, won't you? Here are your halftime numbers for tonight's football game, brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL, Jago.
David, 109-yard penalties for the BC Lions is not going to make Wally Buono very happy. The touchdown, the interception in the end zone by Kevin Glenn is not going to make him very happy. Look off the safety, Kevin, please.
Yeah.
And 59 yards rushing. DeAndre Cobb on pace for his first 100-yard rushing game of the year. That will make him very happy.
Wally Buono just spoke with our Farhan Lalji.
Wally, that last drive notwithstanding, is this the most efficient you've seen Casey Printer's half for him this season?
Well, he's had a good half. He's had also very good protection. So hopefully the second half is just as good.
You've got two players from Hamilton, former Lions, that clearly are a little motivated to play on this. It's cost them some penalties. How important is it that your players not get caught up in that?
Well, again, we got to play smarter. Even on top of that, we've had too many penalties in our kick teams, and it's hurt us.
Thanks, Wally.
Yeah.
Last time these two teams met was in overtime in the East semifinal last year. That game was in Hamilton. All right, Kate Burness is here with the Sports Center update. She's requested that Milt Stiegel throw the pass tonight.
Well, Milt's one of the only ones left, right?
Lay it in there.
Yeah.
Lay it in
Ready?
there.
I'm ready.
Kate's money. Yo! She went and got that one.
You guys are making this tough. Man. Man, we'll see. Maddie's got to do it still, though.
Okay.
Maddie's the last one. Okay, a busy day in the CIS football circuit. Ottawa still undefeated, hosting McMaster. How would they make out? Fairly well, including their quarterback. Bradley Sinopoli had a busy day. The second-ranked GGs throwing for 446 yards, 4 TDs, 4 interceptions in a 43-35 win over Mac. Top-ranked Laval had no problems with St. Mary. Sebastian Levesque ran for 2 touchdowns. Laval wins huge. 45-7 Guelph hosting the Vanier Cup champs Queens. Last chance in the fourth. Devin Shahan makes a great attempt for a grab, but it's ruled incomplete. Guelph hangs on for the 21-15 win. Those highlights and so much more on the next edition of Sports Center with myself and Brian Mudrick after the game. Also, Jose Bautista hitting home run number 49. We've got all the highlights coming up after the game.
So the Lions with a first down at the 11. Kerr stands in, throws, touchdown, G. Roy Simon. Casey going deep, got blocked, touchdown. 5-point lead for the Lions at Empire as we head to the second half, but first, down to the sidelines, Farhan Lalji with Marcel Belfay.
Coach, your team took 4 personal foul type penalties in that half. Most of them from former Lions. Did you talk to them at halftime about being more disciplined?
Yeah, I did. And I also have to, take what the players are telling me and understand that as well. But yeah, we did talk about our discipline. We don't want to give them anything cheap, and we don't want to give them any extra yards.
Casey Printers was able to find his legs in that half, probably more so than he has at any point this season. Do you do anything differently to contain him?
Well, the first thing we got to do is we got to finish. We had people, in the backfield. We had opportunities to get him down on the ground, and we didn't do that. So we got to be much more disciplined in our lanes, especially on the backside when he heads out the back door.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Interesting that Marcel Belfay talked about the discipline and that he has to listen to his players too. I mean, possibly something that caused Jason Jimenez to do what he did.
So the former Lion teammates know what makes these guys tick, and maybe they were pushing some buttons, but still, you can't let that happen.
No question. And especially the hit on Brent Johnson. I couldn't agree with the panel more about there's no place for it. But clearly it was addressed from the head coach.
So we get set to start the second half. The Ticats have really struggled in the third quarter this year. 23 points all season long in the third quarter. They'll get their hands on the football first and see if they can change that. And it will be Reggie Fish up to the 35-yard line, brought down by Adam Leonard. Both quarterbacks look good in the first half.
Well, they really did. They both had 100 yards passing in the first quarter alone. Kevin Glenn added another 55 to his totals, another 71 to Casey Printer's totals in the second, and just the one interception, that right at the end of the half to Tad Crawford. Possibly took 3 points off the board, but it was the only real mistake between both quarterbacks.
Double tight ends to start. Into the hands of Cobb off the left side, up to the 40. And we'll give DeAndre Cobb 4. 62 in the game as he looks for his first 100-yard rushing game of the season.
Yeah, and I when I asked Marcel Belfay about what's the number, I mean, where would you like to get to when it comes to carries, he said around 15. And when you look at the 10 games they've played, 8 of 10, he's been under 15.
12 carries so far tonight. 5 times this year already under 50 yards in a game. It only happened 5 times all last season. 2nd and 5, and almost picked a quick 6 opportunity for Corey Banks. Stepping in front of Markway McDaniel.
Well, and Markway McDaniel, I believe, just becomes defensive back here for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, or this is going the other way for a touchdown, because when he comes out here, he doesn't see that Corey Banks is cutting through there. He comes from the opposite side linebacking spot, so never knew he was there. I think he just distracted him enough.
Good boot by Wilbur. And good downfield cover by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The BC Lions, a 58-yard punt by Wilbur. Find out how you can create your own plays at NissanArmchairHero.com.
Marquay McDaniel's reading Ryan Phillips, and Ryan Phillips is going to drop away. He does not see from the very backside here. Corey Banks come from the opposite side of the formation all the way across. When he sees Ryan Phillips drop away, he thinks he's wide open, and then the close from Banks surprises him, but I think he just grabbed his arm in time.
Out of the double tight ends, here's Giannis Davis again, kicking it outside and lost yards there. You talked about that in the first half, that he has a penchant for doing that.
Well, he's constantly trying to get to the edge. I talked about risk and reward, and sometimes with running backs like Giannis Davis, you take that. I mean, you're going to, rather than have a guy who's going to hit it like that, watch Giannis Davis take this football, and he'll try and continue to bounce it. Now, occasionally, he will be able to bounce it, and he'll get a big one. I'm talking 60, 70 yards. But oftentimes, you'll get caught when you bounce it like that.
So he had 5 and then bubbled back and lost 3. It ended up a gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Pressure, and Printers throws that one away with Justin Hickman breathing down his neck.
Important 2 and out. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, they run a quick stunt where they have their defensive end, Justin Hickman, start out outside and then loop underneath. This is called basic twist or a stunt up front. And watch how he takes a step up field, then he'll loop all the way around and come right down Main Street, right in the face of Printers.
Paul McCallum, as the teams traded 2 and outs, and drop ball, Thigpen. I don't know if he got back on it. Looks like it's BC football. Let's wait till they unpile. Joe Henderson says it's Lion ball. There is a flag down on the field as well. And Thigpen at the bottom of the pile somehow held on.
Boy, he looked real relaxed, almost nonchalant going back to that fumble.
Illegal block. Hamilton, number 0. That penalty is declined. It's first down BC.
BC got it.
Was BC football at the end of the play. Looks like Dan McCullough came up with it.
Center Dan McCullough, a big fumble recovery. Oftentimes the center is unblocked down the field, but he's an athlete going down there. He's already got a fumble recovery on the season, and a little bit of a relaxed reaction here from Thigpen. He takes a look, and then he goes to reach back instead of trying to fall on the ball quickly. See, McCullough has it.
Casey Printers to work. He's got Paris Jackson down inside the 15-yard line.
I think it's official. Paris Jackson is back, because he had to fight for that football.
37 yards. Printers to Jackson.
On the cardinal sin from Jeff Tisdale trying to jam Paris Jackson. He extends too far, stumbles, and allows him in behind him.
6 catches on the night. And a first down inside the 15. Printers for the end zone, and it's dropped. Dylan Barker dropped what should have been an automatic interception. Still looking for his first of the year.
Like there was some sort of confusion between, first of all, quarterback receiver, but also 2 receivers to the left of your screen. Printer's going to try and look off Dylan Barker by looking to his right first, but you can see there's 2 Lion receivers, even 3, in the very same area.
If Dylan Barker played receiver, it wasn't for very long. 2nd and 10. Printers in trouble and dropped. Justin Hickman gets to the quarterback, his 4th sack of the year.
Marcel Belfait talked about the importance of finishing. Justin Hickman's having a good game. He came up off the field, I believe it was on Dane Randolph. And watch the move that he's going to put on the left tackle, number 59. He comes up the field. Good hands to knock down Dane Randolph's hands so he can't engage, but this time he finishes. They didn't finish in the first half.
Had 7 sacks last year, 6 came after Labor Day. And that's his 4th of the year. McCallum on to try from 25 yards out. And that's automatic range for him. And it's an 8-point BC Lion lead. Our SEC tally is brought to you by Purelator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check.
Check for the Calgary Stampeders, 31. They lead the race right now. Between BC and Toronto last week, 14 sacks in that game. The Argonauts had 8. Try and get them back in the race. They, of course, play tomorrow.
Most sacks in 4 years in a game. And 12 to 14 came in the second half. Handoff, Cobb, big hole. And he's running tonight into the secondary and finally dropped at the 46-yard line by the safety, Tad Crawford. DeAndre Cobb likes to play against the BC Lions.
Solomon Elimimian is going to stunt his way right out of the hole. He's right here. Now, he started lined up right there and then moves to a stunt position early. Well, the play call absolutely perfect for that design, because look where DeAndre Cobb runs, right where Elimimian left.
29 yards. Longest run of the year was that last play of the game last week, 49 yards. But in live fire, that's his best run of the year. And Steve Williams takes a knee just as that play was about to begin.
Well, Kevin Glenn thinks that the Lions didn't have the right alignment, the right personnel, so they just took a knee to basically save a timeout. Steve Williams is now going to have to leave for 3 plays because the training staff has come out to attend to him.
And you can see Wally Buono addressing some confusion there with Elimimian, and Williams on his way to the sidelines for 3.
That was that play we just drew up, I believe they were talking about, because Elimimian, I'm not sure if it was by design. It doesn't look like it by the reaction of the coach, that he just vacated that gap. And when he left the gap, that's where DeAndre Cobb ran.
Cobb at 91 yards already tonight. Now we're ready to go 1st and 10. Double tight ends. Cobb again makes the first man miss. And then gets popped by Adam Leonard. There's Dan McCullough, who recovered the fumble, led to the 3 points. The only native of New Brunswick in the Canadian Football League. And
can't
we're
wait.
Looking forward to getting to Moncton next week. Dan's from Fredericton, but he's pretty excited about the fact that it'll be the Eskimos and the Argos in Moncton next Sunday.
I believe the Eskimos will play tomorrow. They'll just continue on.
With a side trip to Prince Edward Island for lobster before the game. And a second down conversion by Kevin Glenn, who drills it in there to Markway McDaniel.
Yeah, Markway McDaniel does a real good job of coming back to the football and not sitting down and waiting for it. Now, he's going to run his curl, and then he'll, instead of sitting there, he'll take another couple steps back. Watch how he finishes it. At the top end of this route is what you have to do as a receiver to be successful. Step back up into it, and then you avoid any defender cutting you off to the football.
Ball to McDaniel on the first down. Ticats marching to the Lion, 30-yard line. Glenn stands in, and he's got a completion. Maurice Mann down to the 9-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal. Hamilton.
DeAndre Cobb makes the key block out of the backfield, and this may be his best football game of the season. Not just rushing the ball. You're going to see Corey Banks, number 24, in a second. Here he comes. Now watch this block. He just stands him up. Tons of time for Kevin Glenn, and at the other end, when he's got that kind of time to step up and throw, he's going to complete it.
4th catch of the game for Maurice Mann, who wanted more action, getting it tonight. 1st and goal. Punch. And in the reverse, it's McDaniel down at the 5, and he gets drilled again by Adam Leonard, who was a teammate, roommate of Elimimian at Hawaii.
3rd play by Tad Crawford, though. You're right on the hit. Adam Leonard is going to be the pursuit that gets him. But watch Tad Crawford, who's made now his third play here, because if he doesn't get contained from the backside and flow to the football here to cut off that pursuit from Marquay McDaniel, he scores.
You're right. Great read by the safety. And it's second and goal from the 5. Kevin Glenn in trouble and dropped outside the 15-yard line. Corey Banks, another big play, and his 5th sack of the year.
Corey Banks is working off of Karan Williams here. So Karan Williams now wants to shorten the corner. What that means is cut this way so that you're forcing Jason Jimenez here to come and deal with you. And to the left of him is Corey Banks. Now, as he cuts across the face of Jimenez, now he's got one-on-one on the outside. Banks is going to flush him up into the hands of Brent Johnson, and Banks, as he ends up, gets him to the ground.
So Sandro on from 22 yards out. And DeAngelis splits the uprights. And it's now a 5-point BC lead. Midway through the third quarter, let's check in with Farhan Loji.
Chris, Giroy Simon has a touchdown tonight, and since 2003, he has averaged over 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. But in the last couple of years, he's been slow to start and red hot after Labor Day, where he's accounted for almost 65% of his yardage. This year, no different, and in the last 3 games, here he goes again. He's averaging close to 100 yards a game, and it's all come. He's now moved from 9th to 3rd on the league's receiving list for the season.
Uncanny the way he can get it cranked up. Here's Arsenault. They fake the reverse, and Arsenault, 3rd carry of the game, he is brought down by Jerome Dennis.
96.3 to be exact on the average in the last 3 games for Giroy Simon. He also has added 2 touchdowns there, so he is starting to pick up steam in the back half of the season, getting more and more comfortable with Casey Printers and refamiliarizing himself with his old partner.
1 catch tonight. It was for a major. 2nd down. Printers, Arsenault with some room to run across midfield, and Dennis will run him out at the Hamilton 48-yard line.
That's a good catch by Emmanuel Arsenault. It's not a long one, and he doesn't have coverage on him, but Printers, this was a fastball from Casey Printers coming across the middle from left to right in your screen. Printers going to step up, and he really wings this. I mean, it's a tough one to catch, and look at the concentration by Arsenault. Both hands on it, watch it in, and then get the corner.
Arsenault turned 23 yesterday. 23 on the pickup. 1st down. Printers look for Arsenault. Came out of the break a little late there and unable to track the football.
Remember when DeAndre Cobb took on Corey Banks on a blitz when the Hamilton Tiger Cats got the ball? Well, watch Jerome Messam, who will get better at this as he gets more and more playing time. But he had the similar type of assignment, and that's different results. That time, Markeith Nolte fights it off, gets in the face of Printers. Because of that, that ball falls incomplete.
Messam, a couple touchdowns last week, was named the top Canadian a week ago. On a roll, Printers looks for Arsenault again, and Dylan Barker knocked him down, and flags fly. Hines claiming innocence, but I think it's the safety, Dylan Barker, who took down Arsenault before the ball arrived.
I'm not sure if Dylan Barker might have been looking back and lost track of where he was.
Hamilton number 20. It's an automatic 1st down.
Dylan Barker coming from the middle. Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. He's looking back to the football. He kind of loses where he is now. Emmanuel Arsenault didn't exactly...
Did he go down easily? Wow.
Didn't exactly get hit hard to go down.
The 1st down, the 19. That one gunned in and incomplete behind Giroy Simon. And Barker there in coverage.
The touchdown for Giroy Simon early in the game, he went right around that goalpost. And remember how Dylan Barker got pushed outside of it. That time Barker played well inside of it, jumped it. And he's seen Giroy Simon on that same route a few times here tonight. That time he wasn't having anything to do with it, trying to make up for the pass interference call.
Dylan Barker, the #1 pick in the Canadian College Draft of 2008.
Here he comes.
2nd and 10. Throwing deep, looking for Paris Jackson. There's the touchdown, his first of the year.
I said here he comes because Dylan Barker declared he was blitzing from the safety spot real early. And it allowed Jerome Messam, who I showed you having some issues with that pickup block, not this time. Jerome Messam sees from the right of your screen. You won't see him yet, but 20 will come into your picture in a second. There he is, picked up nicely on the safety blitz. And that means the middle has a little bit of a soft spot. What a catch by Paris Jackson.
Took it away from Markeith Knowlton. McCallum adds the extra point. He had a touchdown in last year's East semifinal. That's his first regular season touchdown in 12 games.
Jerome Messam is learning on the fly. He's just out of your screen, but watch the pickup here as he sees Dylan Barker. Great block there. Now, if Dylan Barker is not picked up, Casey Printers can't complete this. He also knows one thing, Printers. With no safety there, then this man who's got the route to the hole, the adjustment on the safety blitz, has got to have a chance at this football. And Markeith Knowlton, who scrambled back from the linebacking core, almost got there, but Paris Jackson fights him for the football and wins the fight. He's back.
A little extra camera time. Terry Dunn getting more than a close-up from Paris Jackson.
He got an autograph and a kiss.
Well, you had a sense early that Paris Jackson was feeling it tonight. 7 catches, 95 yards, and his first touchdown of the year. Biggest lead of the night. Lions by 12. As Reggie Fish up to the 33, and this one coming right in Terry Dunn's kitchen.
So Terry is now trying to focus. He's refocusing. He's got to back off. The lens has got to, and right now the entire camera is being hugged by Paris Jackson.
A little more urgency now for the Ticats on offense. And there's a drop intended for Mann.
Well, there's certainly been a conscious effort to go ahead and try and get the football to Maurice Mann more in this game than they have in the last couple of weeks. Last week, just 1 catch. He's averaging 2.4 catches per game. And Elfay talked about getting him the ball. They've gone in his direction a bunch. One just slipped through his fingers.
2nd and 10. Gets loud here at Empire. 3-man rush. Kevin Glenn underneath, the flag down as McDaniel is dropped quickly by the extra DB, Anthony Reddick. Let's check the flag.
It'll be holding against Hamilton.
Holding. Hamilton, number 66. The penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
Alex Gauthier, the left tackle, 2 and out. And another tough 3rd quarter for the Ticats. So Wilbur back in, and Andrew Harris awaits. And Anthony Reddick, who made the tackle, was trying to get off the field and couldn't make it across. And Bill Rochelt and company will come out to attend to him.
He looked okay. He was actually celebrating with Corey Banks and then didn't quite make it across. Now, coaches will tell you when you're a special teams player that if you're not right, then don't just walk right off the field, because they have to find a replacement and get organized. There's always backups, and the special teams is where it really can get confusing.
Let's check in with Farhan Lalji.
Well, guys, earlier this half, we thought that Lions defensive tackle Steve Williams was just taking a knee to save his team a timeout. Well, it turns out he's actually suffered a torn left bicep. He'll likely need surgery and be done for the season. And for this game, the Lions don't have a backup D lineman, so they'll have to play with a 3-man line for the rest of the game. For Hamilton, Jason Shivers suffered a hyperextended elbow early in the game. Hasn't been back, nor will he.
Boy, a couple of
tough
injuries.
And no Garrett McIntyre for this game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We talked about that in the introductions, and he led the team in sacks coming into this week. He may be back for next week, and there's a new addition to the Ticat lineup.
Well, it started out beautiful night here in Vancouver, but the rain's starting to fall here, and Wilbur off the side of his foot got a good bounce, and Davis had to be sharp to corral that football at the BC 35. There's the D coordinator of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Greg Marshall, who is getting set to have another weapon in his defense. Stevie Baggs will be in the lineup soon for Hamilton.
Signed as a free agent. We're trying to decide between returning to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Got a good offer from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a better offer that Saskatchewan with their current cap situation could meet, and Stevie Baggs is a Hamilton Tiger Cat.
So mess him out of the backfield, broke one tackle and then gets dropped at the 41-yard line. So you add Baggs and Garrett McIntyre, who's arguably been their best defensive lineman this year, and suddenly that's going to be a formidable front for Greg Marshall.
Yeah, Greg Marshall told me before the game that Garrett McIntyre should return next week. Was close this week, but they felt with the long road trip, you're going to give him one more week to rehab his injury. Back next week, you add in Stevie Baggs, you've got a good rotation. That was a decent D-line anyway.
Mess him on second down, and he'll pound it for first. Next game for the Tiger Cats is against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, so Stevie Baggs is going to feel right at home.
Well, it's in Hamilton, but if it wasn't, and in Mosaic Stadium, it'd be an interesting reception that Stevie Baggs would get.
Yeah, in Regina, he's not going to feel at home anymore.
No. But they're done.
They are done in Regina. That'll be the second game of the season series. By the way, the final meeting of the year between these two teams will be on the last game of the regular season. And Stephen Black's got a touchdown tonight, but he's had a few drops as well.
Yeah, that's his second for sure. You know, one over the middle for a first down, and then that one, he did have to sort of turn back towards it. But obviously hit him right in the chest. And that's when we talk about receivers reaching out and absorbing the catch with their hands and not letting the ball hit their shoulder pads. That's the difference.
Shannon James checks in for the Ticats as an extra defensive back. 2nd and 10. Printers intercepted. Markeith Knowlton has the interception. His second of the year.
Well, this looks like it surprises Casey Printers because Shannon James is right here. The reason he's looking like he's a linebacker because Dylan Barker's coming on the blitz, but watch what Shannon James does. He goes back to the safety spot, so they're really not safety blitzing. They're just rotating the coverage. Casey Printers doesn't recognize it, and he throws it right in the curl to Markeith Knowlton.
So the Ticats needed a big turnover, and they get one here on the 4th interception tossed by Printers this season. Top, little spin, and down to the Lion 51-yard line as he closes in on his first 100-yard game of the year. In fact, he's got it with that run.
And Chris, why not attack? That circle I just put right there is where Steve Williams usually lines up. You heard Farhan tell us he's gone. They're going with 3 down linemen, so smart for Marcel Belfay to go ahead and try and attack that part of the BC Lion defense.
Second and short. Into the hands of Cobb, and he'll have enough for the first down.
The way the Lions might have to counteract this if they're continuing to pound it at them with a smaller unit out there is to what's sort of run blitz is what it's called. And what you do there is you send your linebackers on blitzes. So Mike Benavides, the defensive coordinator, could go to that. The problem with doing that is you're good on the run and you've left your secondary one-on-ones in behind you. And that's where Arland Bruce comes in. So it becomes a bit of a balancing act for the defensive coordinator.
Got Jonathan Brown, Karan Williams, Brent Johnson, and looks like they line up Adam Leonard as a rush in. Cobb again as they stay on the ground, and Cobb kicks it outside. Now, great cutback and a little hurdle over Davis Sanchez before he's forced out. Final play, third quarter. Lions with the lead, but the Ticats are driving. Third quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
Well, the BC Lions have the edge throwing the football, but the Hamilton Tiger Cats have suddenly found their running game. This has been an issue for the Ticats for most of this season. DeAndre Cobb, I think this is his best game.
And he had his best games last year against the BC Lions, so unfamiliar territory to be the better rushing team on the night. And although they're down by 12 very much in this game with the ball and driving here.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to abandon the running game with a whole quarter to play. You're just down by 12, lots of time to play. And remember, Steve Williams is not in the middle of that defensive line. The Lions now going with just 3 down linemen on defense. We'll have to play more linebackers and possibly some more defensive backs. So running the football is still a real good option for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Ticats have won 4 or 5. The Lions trying to win 3 in a row. First down. That's Cobb again, straight ahead and driving the pile inside the 30. Yeah, this is the guy we saw last year and everybody was impressed with. Started 4th on the depth chart and worked his way up to being over a 1,200-yard rusher in his rookie season.
Well, you go back a couple of games. That game against Toronto, a nice win for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Glenn was at 82%, 313 yards. And that opens up your running game if you can get to it.
2nd and 3. They think to Cobb, and a drop as Marquay McDaniel can't hold on.
Well, it was almost a call that I know Ticat fans are wondering, okay, you've had success with this guy, and he's got you there. And I know the thinking is that now that you've set up the run so well, play action may open something up. It's raining, the ball's a little slick, and it's dropped.
So DeAngelis from 36 will try to make it 4 for 4 on the night. And he pounds that through. And now it's a 9-point lead. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2011 GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. Never send a truck to do a Sierra's job. So early 4th quarter. And it's a 9-point Lion lead as they take the football on their 35-yard line. Finish an issue for the Hamilton tonight in the red zone 4 times, 1 touchdown, 2 field goals, and an interception. And a spin by Giannis Davis, and he makes something out of nothing there.
Jeremy Gibbs is the guy who's going to get the penetration that causes problems on the play initially. He's off the edge here and doesn't really give Casey Printers a chance to even make a decision. But when Giannis Davis makes a miss, Printers will come around and throw a block. Pretty good block right there by the quarterback on linebacker Markeith Knowlton.
So it's 2nd and 6. Printers with time. Downfield, it's intercepted. Jeff Tisdale, his 2nd in as many games, and a flag. And another penalty flag on the field, but Tisdale comes up with the second straight Hamilton interception.
Stephen Black was running a corner route on this play, and Jeff Tisdale left his man, which was O'Neal Wilson, on the sideline and cut underneath it.
After the interception, we have an illegal block. Hamilton, number 27, it's a 10-yard penalty, and it becomes first down.
Jerome Dennis called on the illegal block, but Tisdale has his third interception of the year, 10th in his Ticat career.
And third in the last 3 games.
I got you.
So he is on a roll.
We're gonna get it. Believe that.
Ticats came into the game last in interceptions, but 2 big ones here in the second half to even up the turnover tally on the night. After the penalty, Hamilton gets it at the 35. McDaniel, he'll step out at the 43-yard line.
Let's go back to that Jeff Tisdale interception. I'll show you what I'm talking about. He's lined up right here. His man is O'Neal Wilson, who's going to run an out route there. But watch Tisdale come back and then go underneath. He basically bails on his own coverage, on his man, which was O'Neal Wilson. Here he comes out, he's got O'Neal Wilson, then he sees Printers look back, he bails on his man, cuts underneath that corner. That's experience, Jeff Tisdale.
Looks like he might have played receiver in his day. 2nd and 3. Arlen Bruce been quiet tonight, but making news now. Into Lion territory at the 51. His third catch did have a touchdown grab in the first half, but
boy, I can't imagine how good it must feel for a quarterback who has Arlen Bruce in his lineup, that when he sees man-to-man, he knows exactly what he wants to do with the football. He wants to throw it to number 1.
Needed 57 coming in for 1,000. He's up to 42 on 3 grabs tonight. First down, Lion 51. Play fake to Cobb. Maurice Mann cuts it inside. Finds a crease. Flag down. Maurice Mann races to the end zone. It's a touchdown, but it looks like it's coming back.
Anton McKenzie was in pursuit, and he got cut down. Now, the flag landed right beside him. He got up immediately, indicating that he was either hit from behind.
Illegal block. Hamilton, number 67. The penalty occurred before the yards were gained. As a result, it's a 10-yard foul from the previous line of scrimmage. Repeat first down.
Vancouver native left guard Peter Diakowski.
Boy, and again, that discipline issue rears its ugly head, because Diakowski, roll it a little bit, guys. Hold it right there. Diakowski at the top of your screen. Now, you tell me, was Maurice Mann going to be tackled by Anton McKenzie? There's the block directly in the back.
The pass was a screen pass occurring behind the line of scrimmage. Therefore, blocking is legal. There is no infraction on the play. We have a touchdown.
Wow.
Well, you can block downfield, but you can't block from behind.
Can you clip? That's stunning. That was clearly on the numbers. But the Ticats get a huge break.
Well, and this is different in so many different ways, and I'm going to show you why. Yes, it was a screen pass, which means if you hold it, guys, the screen pass is caught up here, so you're allowed to block downfield. What you can't do is make an illegal contact, an illegal block once the ball is caught and the runner is on his way.
And Wally Bono does no recourse to challenge.
I mean, the difference being, it's simple. If the ball is thrown downfield, no one can go down and block before it's caught. If a ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage, you can block downfield before it's caught while it's being caught. You can't make illegal blocks at any time.
Got a great block from Alex Gauthier, and Maurice Mann has a 51-yard touchdown.
Hey, man. Seaside Cali in the building.
We're talking about 2 different rules here. First of all, here's Maurice Mann, and if he catches the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and hold it right now, guys. Okay, hold it there. That's a legal block because it's behind the line of scrimmage. No problem. You can block downfield. What is a completely different rule is a block in the back, a clip, a trip, anything like that, an illegal contact, illegal block. It doesn't matter where you are on the field end, and that was, I don't know how clear that could have been.
Wow. Wally Bono conference with Bud Steen. Here's Giannis Davis on the return. We've got a 2-point game after the touchdown by Maurice Mann that clearly the BC Lions feel should not have counted. And Wally Buono over to talk to back judge Kerry Anderson, and then had a meeting with Bud Steen where the gesture was pretty clear about a hit.
Well, it was an illegal block. Yeah, it was an illegal block. It had nothing to do with where the ball was caught, in front of the line or behind the line. The ball was caught and Maurice Mann was running with it. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, where they got one there.
Casey Printers, couple of interceptions, and now he hooks up with Stephen Black close to a first down. Let's see if Printers can bounce back now after being picked twice by the Ticats here.
Well, and Stephen Black should go over and thank his quarterback for coming back to him, because he's had a couple of drops in a row now, and Printers goes right back to him to try and gain some confidence.
Jeff Tisdale brings Black down. It's 2nd and inches, and here's that situation where I know Jocks talked about airing it out a little bit, take a chance here with 2nd and inches. Let's see what they do. Lule is in, the short yardage team on the field. Arsenault in motion, and they just do push ahead and should move the chains. Jesse Newman in on that short yardage team. Well, he's been sharp tonight, but suddenly a little adversity for Casey Printers here in the second half with the interceptions by Markeith Knowlton and Jeff Tisdale. First down at the line, 44. Big pitch to Messam, rolls to the right, looks for Simon, and he can only get one hand on it, incomplete.
Well, that was the one area that Casey Printers was avoiding, was the interceptions. He's had a couple now. One a real good play by Jeff Tisdale, and Geroy Simon, he knows he's got the full roll from his quarterback, so he's trying to work his way to the sideline. But Jerome Dennis, the former BC Lion, right on his hip.
You seeing more rollouts from Printers than in recent weeks?
Well, certainly the first 3 games of the season where Printers was in the pocket pretty much every second down play and was hit because of it.
2nd and 10. They screen it. Big Messam gets a block, gets the first down up to midfield for Jerome Messam.
And the other thing that was missing in those first couple of games, Chris, were plays like this. They weren't using their running backs very well, the BC Lions, out of the backfield, and it looks like they've evolved from there. Jerome Messam, who's really evolved himself in this game in that he's picked up the blocking a lot better than he did in the first quarter, and picks up a real important first down. Zoc Saptolane now starting to implement that screen pass a little bit more.
12 and into Hamilton territory, and Messam really got cranked. Somehow was able to fall forward and get a yard. Jeremy Gibbs and Dylan Barker.
It was a lot of Gibbs and a little Barker. But Barker's right here, and he's coming, and Jeremy Gibbs is right there. Jeremy Gibbs weighing 285, steps down, and hello.
Yeah, that was all Gibbs. Well, Gibbs came in here after being released by the Lions to send a message. 2nd and long. Printers, Arsenault brought down, and flags fly again. Not much done about this. Will Hayward knows.
He didn't even turn to complain about this one. He twisted Emmanuel Arsenault around.
Pass interference. Hamilton, number 23. Automatic, first down.
Will Hayward is the corner, but he's going to move inside right here and play on Arsenault, the wide receiver, so they're just matching up personnel. Take a look, and when you do this and twist and turn and grab and tackle, you're going to hear the ref say what he just said. Pass interference. Wow.
A lot of yards given up on penalties tonight by the Ticats. Here's a catch, and Black is immediately run out by the youngster Ryan Hines, pressed into action tonight with the early injury to Jason Shivers that caused a shift in the secondary for the Tiger Cats.
Oh, one pass interference call early on Hines, but he's been pretty solid since then. And the Lions really haven't gone after him, although it is more difficult to try and pick on or isolate the wide side corner.
Youngster out of North Toronto, went to the University of New Hampshire. It's Paul LaPolice's school, wasn't it? Second down, Printers on the run. Bolden can't reach him, and down the sidelines. That catch made. Paris Jackson somehow stayed in bounds and has the first down grab.
First of all, Printers extends the play, another safety blitz, and to me, this is about 6 or 7 from Greg Marshall in this defense, and Printers escapes it, but what a catch by Paris Jackson. He's having a monster night. Both feet in bounds.
So that's his 8th catch, which is a season high. He has 109 yards. That's a season best, and he has his first touchdown of the year. And now we'll get a challenge, as Marcel Belfay's spotters didn't like the looks of that. And did he have full control with a foot in?
Well, he maintained control. I mean, he maintained control. It just was that 1 foot on the stripe. But it looked to me when he saw it initially that he had both inbounds there. Now, Marcel Belfay, where he's standing, is right in line with where that catch was made. So maybe he had a very different angle than we did. Got control now, and you have to determine whether or not you see any green right in between there.
Hamilton is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass. We will review the play.
Left foot might have a little white paint under it. Hard to determine.
Be possible from that angle, I think. Tough to see there.
So Jake Ireland in the command center will try and determine whether or not that foot did stay in, the left foot. An athletic play by Jackson, and as you could see, by Casey Printers on the run.
Let's show you one more look, because that last look that looked like we didn't really see an angle. Well, here they've made a decision.
The ruling on the field will stand. It's a completed pass. First down.
I just saw Paris Jackson's left toe, the one in question, at the end of one of those replay angles, kind of dragging through the chips. Watch it again on this angle. As he goes out of bounds. Now, you can't see it now, really, but as he continued on, the left foot that was in question, you see how it dragged right there?
So it is a first down grab and a pitch to Messam. Down to the 18-yard line. The big rookie, 6'3", 245 in training camp. Wasn't running hard the first day or two, and he got talked to, and he said, I'm not used to having offensive linemen bigger than me.
He's going to get some help from O'Neal Wilson coming from outside in to just get containment on that corner on Matt Kirk.
At every level, he was the biggest guy on his team. Until now, 10th play of the drive. Lions trying to answer the contentious Maurice Mann 51-yard touchdown. Pressure, and Casey Printers tossed down. Jamal Johnson with a huge sack against his former team, his 3rd of the year.
He times this blitz up absolutely perfectly. Jamal Johnson is lined up here, and watch him sort of delay and then shoot the gap. Not picked up because he delays just a split second, shoots the gap, and Javon Olafioye can't get over there.
Loss of 15, which not only snuffs the drive, but it'll give Paul McCallum a bit more of a test as he lines up a 39-yarder. And we'll call it 40. with Lule the holder. And Paul McCallum has just been brilliant all season long, hasn't he? 5-point Lion lead, lots of time left. CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona, doing it right.
That's a C-Bus. A C-Bus goes from North Vancouver
on a rainy night
across to Vancouver.
We got ourselves a finish. Under 5.5 minutes to go. 31-26, Lions lead. Ticats have the ball at their 35, and DeAndre Cobb has been running hard all night. Up close to a first down, Elimimian the tackle. Pretty good hold by Lule and kick by McCallum in these wet conditions.
You know, the receivers back in the studio are talking all receivers. I want to talk about a holder for a second and the importance of how you got to get the snap down and the laces away. So watch Lule has to struggle with a low snap. Laces away, laces, just in time as McCallum walks through it.
All about the hold. Second and short. And a first down for Hamilton as Quentin Porter came in the short yardage situation.
Well, Marcel Belfay has a couple of options here. He hasn't gone to Arland Bruce in a little while, but he's having success on the running game. And ideally for Hamilton, you chew up 4 minutes in about 16 seconds, punch it in, win the game with your running game if you can.
They've won 2 games this year when trailing after 3 quarters. Rough Riders did that last night. 12 times it's happened in the league already this year. Pass for Maurice Mann. Did he dig it up? And yes, he did. Good catch there to the 51. And 5 for Mann on the play.
I'm sure that Wally Buono's staff up in the spotter's booth is going to want to take a quick look to see if Maurice Mann did pull this one off the turf. Looks like he got his hands underneath it.
Reggie Fish checks in.
That looks like a solid catch.
2nd and 5.
And
no,
I think
apparently the Lions don't think so, and Wally Buono drops the challenge flag. Trying to win 2 in a row on Empire turf. Wally Buono's team was sub 500 at home last year. Previous 5 years to that, 35-10 here on home turf in Vancouver.
Well, this is a field position issue. I mean, if it's incomplete, Wally Buono wins the challenge here. If he does, he gets 2nd and long for his defense. He would get a break at the 3-minute warning.
Challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass. We will review the play.
He would get it in the 3-minute warning. He would get that break anyway. But if he wins the challenge, he gets 2nd and long, and that's more important, I think, right now for Wally Buono. And tell me, I mean, I thought initially Maurice Mann got his hands underneath it, and it bounced off his arm there and up into his chest. But that angle looked like it may have touched the ground. Is that touching the ground right there?
All this with 3:35 to go, and out from under the hood and off the phone comes Bud Steen.
The ruling on the field is overturned. It is an incomplete pass. Comes 3rd down.
Second down.
Should be 2nd and 10. And Marwan Hage out there to make sure they get the down right.
It is 2nd down.
Yes,
2nd down and 10.
It is 2nd and 10, and the ball will be put back at the 46.
Well, Wally Buono, good challenge there to get his team, his defensive team, into 2nd and long. Now it's up to them to see if they can get the stop. because at this point, you got to believe that Marcel Belfair will kick this away. I don't think he's in 3-down territory yet.
Not yet. The old temporary facility shaking here. Lots of time, and the pass was tipped. Incomplete. Cats will have to kick it away.
Jonathan Brown, I believe, got his hands on it coming off the 3-sack game. He's been a bit quiet tonight, but controlling that middle. And remember, no Steve Williams, so he's doing it on his own to try and control the middle of the line of scrimmage, and he's right over Marwan Hayes, number 99. Bull rush at the line of scrimmage, times it up, and there's that right hand.
Like Arlen Bruce was pretty well covered. Wilbur, good boot. Davis back to the 15, and again bounced back a little bit, gets back to where he originally fielded it, and we have exactly 3 minutes remaining. Good kick by Wilbur. That was a 49-yard punt. Tonight's game story is brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Casey Printers, 100 yards passing in the first quarter of this game, and then had a couple of issues in the second half with interceptions. Does have 3 touchdown passes. Best game of the year for DeAndre Cobb. First 100-yard game of the season, and I have a feeling they're not done yet with him.
Boy, we're in for an interesting finish. Lions have the lead. They have the football, but they start deep at their own 15. Messam. That's a good first down run for Jerome Messam. Up across the 20, close to 7.
Yeah, this is interesting field position, because if you can get the running game going here, you've got a chance. The Hamilton Tiger Cats will stop the run first and see if Casey Printers can move the chains throwing the ball. Got to think that Greg Marsh is going to try and load up the box to stop the run.
2nd and 3, big play. Messam again with a spin, drop the football, and the Tiger Cats got it. Markeith Knowlton, Otis Floyd with the hit on Messam. The rookie coughs it up, and another former Lion comes up with the ball.
And just a little lack of focus, I believe, here from Jerome Messam, the running back in the backfield. He's going to try and go with the spin move. Again, it's Jeremy Gibbs that causes the initial problem with his penetration behind the line of scrimmage, and he just loses the handle. Otis Floyd tackles him there. The ball pops out, not down by contact, and Hamilton will take the football.
9th turnover on the year generated by the linebacking core of the Tiger Cats. 3rd fumble recovery by Knowlton, and now they look for the go-ahead touchdown. Chris Bauman's got it! And he's going to score! Chris Bauman, touchdown! His first of the year! And the Tiger Cats have got the lead with 2:24 on the clock.
And Dante Marsh rolled the dice, gambled and lost. Concentration by Bauman to not be distracted. Kevin Glenn puts a little air on this. And you can see there, Dante Marsh took a gamble at the football. Chris Bauman. The Hamilton Tiger Cats will go for 2.
First catch of the night for Bauman's the biggest one of the night now. 1-point lead, and they'll try and make it a full 3. As they go for 2. Kevin Glenn. And incomplete, was looking for Dave Stahl at the goal line. So it's a 1-point Tiger Cat lead, and lots of time yet. Might be time for a couple of possessions. But right now the Tiger Cats with 16 points off turnovers have roared back in front. Was a flag down away from the play. Let's find out what that's all about.
At the end of the play, we have an objectionable conduct. Hamilton number 1, the 10-yard penalty will be applied on the kickoff.
Arlen Bruce, objectionable conduct, and we mentioned that Marcel Belfay addressed it at halftime. I'm sure he'll address it again this week.
Let's show you the touchdown, first of all, by Chris Bauman. And right back here is Dante Marsh. Watch how he gambles on this play. He tries to go for the football, and Kevin Glenn had put just enough air under it. He misses the ball cutting underneath there, and Bauman takes it to the house. He's not distracted. And I'm not sure if Arlen Bruce, after that, was complaining. He thought there should have been a pass interference call on Dave Stahl on the two-point convert.
So the Lions have turned the ball over 3 times in the fourth quarter. Bauman gives the Ticats the lead. They kick off from their 25 after the penalty. The Lions should get good field position off this. As Davis brings the return up across the 45-yard line. 2:19 to go.
Well, this is interesting now, and what Greg Marshall will do defensively and try and stop the run and put Casey Printers in second and long. Printers, on the other hand, is thinking at this point field goal. He doesn't want to force it with the turnovers that have happened over the last 2 quarters.
Look out. Another ball loose on the ground. Still loose. Cats have it again. Their 4th takeaway here in the fourth quarter. As the Lions unravel.
Well, interesting here when you get the Hamilton Tiger Cats on this roll. Again, there's the linebackers. Jamal Johnson decides to drop out of their play pass coverage. And when the linebackers drop, Casey Printers holds the ball a little too long. Markeith Knowlton comes around.
That was Knowlton who caused the fumble, and 3
replay
Tiger
official
Cats.
wants
Looks
us
like
to take a
DeMonte
look at that
Bolton
last play.
came up with the
We'll
ball.
review it.
Well, this has stunned the crowd here in Vancouver. Looks like we're going to have a review.
It'll be interesting to see what they're reviewing and whether or not maybe Printers was his arm moving forward in any way.
Well, the command center will take one look at it. 5 possessions for the Lions, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and a field goal in this fourth quarter.
I don't think there's any question that the ball came out of there. I'm not sure what they're reviewing.
Well, just to make sure, there was that pump he held on, and if he had dropped it on that first arm movement, it might have been ruled an incompletion, but clearly he didn't let it go until Knowlton jarred it loose. And unlikely that this play is going to change. Looks like Hamilton football at the Lion 40-yard line. It looked like Wally Bono's club had this one somewhat in hand.
Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are just taking the football. I mean, that's been the difference in this fourth quarter.
The ruling on the field stands. It's Hamilton first down.
But once Maurice Mann got the 51-yard touchdown, everything
no question
has gone Hamilton's way. And Casey Printers, who was very sharp early, is suddenly on the sidelines and watching this game slip away. Cobb, and little stutter step, and he gets 5. Just a reminder that coming up following this game, Brian Mudrick, Kate Burness have Sports Center. We will have highlights, post-game reaction, and we're not sure how this one's going to turn out yet, because almost 2 minutes left to change the script. Second and back into the hands of Cobb. And DeAndre Cobb should have the first down.
Well, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, just the most they're concerned now is the 142. I mean, they don't need to go ahead and even gamble throwing the football. They don't have to. They just want to work this clock down. They're in field goal range now, chip shot field goal range.
That would force the Lions to need a touchdown. DeAndre Cobb, 21 carries now and 145 yards. Season best last year was against the Lions at 167. We may get a chance to match that here. Short yardage there as Elamimian, Brent Johnson, Adam
Time
Leonard
out.
all there.
BC.
Lions stop the clock. So BC has to put a stop to this drive.
Well, it's this play. It's this play because one more first down. BC just called a timeout. So they've used their timeout in the second half now. So one more first down. The Hamilton Tiger Cats in a couple of plays with a 20-second clock can end this. So it comes down to this play.
Ticats try to even their record at 3-3. Mike Benavides needs the defensive play right now.
If I were a betting man, I'd put a bunch of money on full blitz from the BC Lions.
Second and 8 from the 28. Cobb. And he'll be dragged down after a 3-yard gain. Brent Johnson, Anton McKenzie, the stop. DeAngelis will come on. And the Lions will have just under a minute to go. And we'll find out if they're down by 2 or 4 after the DeAngelis field goal attempt.
A good call by Marcel Belfay there too. Just conservative, run the football. You know you have field goal range. You can make this the difference a major now that the BC Lions need. And now what Hamilton needs to do is try and burn as much as they can off the clock before they snap the football.
Well, that's the kind of game that the Hamilton Tiger Cats signed Sandro DeAngelis for. Now he tries to cap a perfect night as they will run down the 20-second clock here.
And then the Hamilton Tiger Cats will call their timeout.
Thought we were due for a barn burner or two. We got one last night.
Hamilton.
An exceptional game in Regina, and this one has been well played as well, and we may not have the final chapter yet. 52 seconds remaining, and if you're Wally Buono, do you start at the 35? Do you look for a big kickoff return, or just take the ball at the 35 after the field goal?
I think you take the football.
It's going to be a 32-yard DeAngelis attempt. And Sandro puts another through. 5 for 5 on the night. Up to 74% on the year.
But there's 49 seconds of football left.
Don't put this baby to bed yet.
Not quite. The Ticats have been ball hawks and just ripping the football out of there in this second half. The turnover's the difference. But they left, because they didn't get that one more first down, left 49 seconds left on the clock.
We opened the game talking about Arlen Bruce and G-Roy Simon, both first half touchdowns. G-Roy with only 1 catch on the night. You'd think Casey Printers will be looking his way now. Pressure again. Arsenault knocked down. Good defensive play there by Markeith Knowlton to knock it away.
That's a couple for him. And Markeith Knowlton's the guy who just caused the last fumble on the last series to get this to the fact that the BC Lions now need a major after the Sandro DeAngelis field goal. So that's a couple of plays. Now, he doesn't give up on that one. Arsenal had a shot at it, but he doesn't quit on the play.
2nd and 10 from the 35. Runners over the middle, and he's got G. Simon, second catch of the game, and a first down up at the 49. 37 seconds left, and no timeouts for the Lions.
Yeah, they cannot stop the clock unless they work the sideline. The ref will blow it in once they're set.
And they do get set in a hurry. Clock starts to run. Gunning it for Arsenault off his fingertips, and Ryan Hines nearly had his first CFL pick. Clock stops, 31 seconds left.
In this case, Casey Printers can call 2 plays in the huddle. One that the BC Lions are assuming they get the first down. That's the first one, and then they call a second one just to case whoever catches this does not get out of bounds.
Lions have lost 4 by 7 or less so far this year, trying to avoid a 5th. Printers in trouble, ball dropped, and who's got it?
And the Ticats have something else to think about.
They've got the football. That's the 5th turnover in the 4th quarter, as Casey Printers fumbles it again. And Justin Hickman outfought a Lion for the football, just a little hungrier.
Right off the edge, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, it's quite a battle. Joe McGrath, Jeremy Gibbs, spins back inside. He said it coming in that he wanted to show something to Wally Buono. He's made some plays tonight.
Has he ever? And a 12-point Lion lead unravels in the 4th quarter. Greg Marshall's got reason to celebrate. That defense coming up with 5 takeaways in the 4th quarter.
But that's the way to come back and play.
Huge bounce-back game for the Ticats after the disappointment against the Alouettes last week.
But you're right, it turned on that Maurice Mann touchdown. And then the defense took control for Hamilton.
And the clock runs out. The Hamilton Tiger Cats roar back from 12 down. Marcel Belfay's team has now won 5 of 6, and they're 6-5 on the year, as the defense takes the football away 5 times in the 4th quarter. Tough finish for Casey Printers as the BC Lions drop to 3-8. Once again, the final 35-31. So long from Vancouver.